Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and in this episode we're taking a look at a character who I am super into from the world of Marvel Comics, and this is a resin mini bust courtesy of Diamond Select. Today we're taking a look at X-23 in this, I think this is a 1/7 scale statue, I want to say. Not entirely sure. We'll see once we open this box up here. But yeah, I think X-23 was one of the first statues, or at least one of the earliest ones I remember doing when I started doing a lot more Diamond Select reviews, and I really was into that piece. I thought it was really great here. So I jumped at the chance to have the latest version of X-23, but this time in a smaller size, different costume, different look. This I'm really hoping to be blown away by here, so we'll see if my wishes come true. But first, let's take a look at this packaging here. And as you all can see currently, the packaging is really like all the other resin pieces that come from Diamond Select, which typically have just a very simple black box, some logos on them, which you see here, a big image of the character we're talking about, and a logo for that exact character. And that's really it. There's not much more here. I mean, the biggest difference we can say that separates this box from a lot of other boxes is that we have this nice little gray bar here where it says resin bust. And we do have this sort of circular gradient coming out from the center of the box, but otherwise, yeah, it is purely just a black package with, not really any design elements whatsoever. I know some folks don't really care about that because, hey, they're going to probably take this out of the box anyway, but, sometimes it's nice to have something that kind of stands out a bit, but that's fine because, to be quite honest, the X-23 design of the costume here, that really helps us pop out so much anyway, so we can kind of give it a pass on that if it matters. And the sides of the box, unlike a PVC figure diorama, there are no windows, but what we do get is images of the statues, well, typically from different angles. In this case, we have just, the same angle. Again, it's slightly different from what we had on the front, but, not super noticeable. On the back of the box, again, nothing too different here, just more images of the statue. They've just rotated it a little bit more here. It's more the same as far as like that whole black motif goes. We're gonna get a glimpse of that base there you just saw. And yeah, there you go. So really the big interesting part about this would be the section of text over here, because this is our bio about X-23, and it's pretty detailed. It's pretty good, actually. I'm a fan of good bios, and when Diamond Select does them, they do them really well, and when they don't, I'm always sad. So I'm happy that this one here actually has a lot of attention to detail. We can kind of scroll down a little bit here, and we'll see that it does, in fact, tell us it is a 1/7 scale piece, so I was right with my guess. That's really cool there. So she's going to be about 6 inches from head to toe, or I guess pointy bits on top of her mask to bottom of the base, maybe. And more importantly, it lets us know that this was designed by Nelson X Asensio and sculpted by Juan Pitluck, who we've seen do a lot of X pieces in the past, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this one here. And equally of importance, but not super duper important to me, this is a limited edition piece, and this one has only 3,000 pieces total out there in the wild, so scoop Laura Kinney up while you can. So with that said, that's our look at the packaging. We're done with that. Let's go ahead, get her out of the box, and take a closer look at our X-23 bust from all angles. And here is our X-23 statue out of the box, ready to go. You might notice that our Laura Kinney here could use a hand, pun intended. So in case you're wondering where her hands are, they are packaged separately, and that is to help keep the wrists from breaking as well as these claws from breaking too. And they are attached through magnets. So all you gotta really do is basically line them up in the right spot, and they should in theory just, there you go. You can see it right there. Once you find the right spot, they will just go right into place essentially on their own. So there you go. That's how she's going to look once she has her hands on here. And now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and give you guys a quick rotation so you can see the statue for all 360 degrees. And I'll give you guys my initial thoughts here. And, I should address too why I'm such a big fan of X-23, the character, but more so the statues and the toys. And, I think Wolverine's really cool. I think X-23 is a very awesome character also. And she has a lot of different traits that Wolverine doesn't have. But more so as far as like look and costume goes, I really just dig the whole thing. I mean, it's basically just a different vibe. It's another version of Wolverine. It's never a bad thing. And I personally think X-23 probably has some cooler outfits than Wolverine, but that's debatable. It kind of depends on my mood on a certain given day. But I'm a big fan of both those characters. And I always love anything that is X-23 related just because, there's so much power, there's so much grace, there's so much going on in this type of personality. So yeah, I'm always into this. And I gotta tell you guys, I'm already really impressed here. So let's go ahead and really dive into things right now, and let's kick this video off by taking a closer look at X-23's head sculpt. Now keeping in mind this is a comic version of X-23, so it's not really based on any one specific moment, one specific thing, whatever. It's kind of just like the sculptor's version of what they feel like would work best in a statue. And I think it's really cool. You know, like it's number one, a really great throwback to the classic yellow Wolverine outfit. And you can really see a lot of that in there, of course, not just the color, but the shape of the mask and everything, the way it looks. I mean, really, if you just kind of like ignore her mouth section there, you could just think it's like Wolverine, her mouth and her hair, really. You could just say that it's like Wolverine right there, but then you see everything else and you're like, oh, who is this character? And it's kind of interesting. But yeah, so as far as like likeness goes, you know, again, this isn't based off a real person, so I can't really dig too deep into likeness per se, but I can say that I think it's a great head sculpt and a very expressive head sculpt too. Sometimes, you know, head sculpts can vary depending on who's doing them or what the purpose is. In this case here, our X-23, she is about to jump into battle, it looks like. Her claws are out, and her face kind of reflects that, as does her brow. And the nice thing about this piece that I really like too is a lot of times when they do like female characters, not necessarily them, just as a generalization across a lot of comic book stuff, they won't really draw female characters like grimacing or making this kind of a face because it adds lines to their face, and that could age them up. That might make them look quote unquote less beautiful, whatever it might be. So I'm happy that they found a real nice happy medium here as far as her facial expression goes to show that she is a Wolverine, because that's a Wolverine facial expression there. But it also is still retaining a lot of the, I guess, the feminine aspect of who this character is. So I think that's a really great job on the head sculpt. And you can see how nice this like kind of reflects all the different light that we have here too. So yeah, solid all around here. Although if we can't really talk about the head sculpt without going into the hair, which is awesome. You know, everybody who's watched my videos before knows I'm a sucker for sculpted hair, and I think this is just wild. Now, okay, talking comic book accuracy, I don't think her hair has ever been that long, or if it has, it hasn't been in a long, long, long time. Mainly because, you know, like that's basically going to like her butt level. I don't think her hair has been that long because that's just kind of unruly. And then even the amount of hair, it's kind of cartoonish and silly. Admittedly, I do think it looks very cool and it's excellently sculpted, but it's very, very impractical. And I don't think it's really, you know, accurate to the character. So just kind of on principle, I have to maybe dock some points for it, let's say. But again, it is done really well. It just maybe doesn't make the most sense for the piece that we're looking at right now. But overall, this is a very solid head start, pun intended. Well, let's go ahead now and talk a little bit more about the body here, the rest of the bust. And you guys can see here, so this outfit, it's not like the one we looked at a few years back. This one's a little bit different. We have this sort of like V shape going on here, more like an X shape. If we had the rest of her body here, we'd see that. But, you know, we have these all sorts of angles, which are very X-like, you know, get that whole pattern going in, all the triangles and such, which look quite nice. There's a lot of good stitching detail also on like the ends of each of these little yellow sections. So it's kind of meant to be like, they're two different materials. You know, like the darker blue here is meant to sort of be the spandex, and I think this maybe not necessarily meant to be the spandex. I mean, it feels like it might be meant to be some kind of like lighter type of leather, perhaps. It doesn't feel the same as far as texture goes. They don't feel the same, but it's not like super rough like it would be, let's say, like an actual leather kind of thing, you know? So there is a slight difference between the two of them. We also have, of course, the classic X-Men belt on the bottom there with the X logo, which always looks cool. I don't know if that's meant to be a belt here or not, because there's nothing really attaching it. So, okay. Well, she just got an X a little bit below her belly button. Whatever, I'm not going to argue. But really the coolest part about the whole outfit here and all this look is definitely these claws. So X-23, unlike Wolverine, she doesn't have 3 claws. She has 2 come out of her hands, because I believe she has also the toe claws, right? So instead of having 3, we have 2. And these are really good. These are very nice looking. These are, I don't think they're metal. I'm not entirely positive. I can't actually tell if they are or are not metal, but they're painted really nicely, and that's actually a compliment, because if I can't tell the difference, that should tell you right there how good these things actually look. And the hands are sculpted really great as well. You can't discount that as part of why these look great here. I think the gloves look very cool. You know, you can see how they're kind of sculpted here. It's a little bit of like edge over here. So yeah, these are very solid. Good job on the hands as well. Just, you know, nice all around. Now, it could have been cool to have like maybe some different hands as well. This is just kind of me being wishful, I guess. Like maybe some unclawed hands or different poses. Because again, these wrists are both magnetic, right? So we could easily have swapped them out, taken them off for other things. But that's just me kind of trying to complicate stuff. But I'm still really happy with how they look and how good they look too. And as far as the pose goes, again, these are, you know, a little mini bust, right? So we're not getting the rest of the body here, but this pose speaks volumes in terms of a lot of different things here. You know, I feel like it's been a while since we did a female statue, you know, a female character from the Marvel Comics in statue form. And one of the things I always like to talk about is how they're going to combine essentially the different elements that you'd see in a statue of a male character, because with characters like these, it's really easy to get mired in basically trying to make it overly feminine, overly sexy, whatever. And there's a time and place for that sort of thing, I guess. But in the case of X-23, she kind of is a balance between those things, even though she would be more aggressive, more assertive, right? You don't want her to look like she's just a pushover. So she needs to look rough, needs to look tough. But there's also still the fact that she is a very attractive lady in the comics. I mean, in the most recent Krakoa run, her and Sync, or at least a version of X-23 and Sync, had a great relationship. So, I mean, there is a soft side to her as well. And I think this piece does a great job of kind of capturing the softness with the harshness. Again, I don't think the hair is like one of those elements that really helps it out, because I think it's almost a detractor. Like, it's very cool. Again, it looks really cool. And in some ways it actually does kind of like cement the character, because it has like this frantic quality that really works well with the way the costume and everything is going out. Artistically speaking, it's a great element. But again, in practical, not so much. So, in the case of X-23, I feel like, versus the plastic PVC one we looked at a few years back, I think that one was a little bit more balancing the sort of like sexy elements of X-23. I think this one, less focused on that, more focused on the fact that she's X-23, she's a Wolverine, and she's about to gut somebody. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I don't mind that at all. So yeah, nothing really bad to say about this piece so far at all. But let's talk about the base here. And the base might not be the most interesting base we've looked at, but it is at least a little bit different than what I've seen, because I haven't really done a lot of X-Men busts in this style. So this is new to me. And you guys can see here, it's almost kind of meant to like maybe resemble Cerebro a little bit. I mean, Cerebro is a giant helmet, yes, but I think we kind of have some more metallic elements, some more, I feel like, concepts behind it. Like, I feel like conceptually, this is meant to be a bit of a throwback to something like Cerebro. Something that's very X-Men branded, metallic, and very machine-like, as opposed to the organic person we have on top of here. But it's very simple, but very good as well. I think it's really cool, and I think the shape also helps a lot. If we're going to say if anything is elegant on this piece, because I think this X-23 might not be the most, let's say, elegant, but I think this base probably makes up for that because of the simple design, the tapered head that it has up here, and how it leads you back up into the character. I think this is very sleek, and just aesthetically a very good choice to offset the softer curves of a character like this, because unlike Wolverine, X-23 isn't this giant bulky man made out of metal and, who is 600 pounds of muscle. X-23 is a lot more slender, and I think the choice of base really kind of helps accentuate that idea as well. And also kind of repeating this sort of ring motif that we're seeing in her costume too, in that blue space that's around the yellow. So great choices all around, and it really just ties it together really quite beautifully. And other than that, I should mention too, on the bottom of the base, this is where you're going to find the number of the character, because these are all limited editions, as I mentioned, limited to 3,000. And because mine is an artist's proof, and there is no number on it, it's just labeled as 0. So shout out to Diamond for sending me this unnumbered one here, so I could show you guys at home how this looks. And in addition to that, she also comes with a certificate of authenticity, which mine is also unnumbered. But you have a few different ways to get that number on the statue. And it's also located on the bottom of the box in case you need it there too. So overall, I'm a big fan of this piece. It doesn't surprise me at all. I'm happy to know that my suspicions about this piece were spot on. Great sculpting, really excellent paint job. No slop anywhere, by the way, either. You notice I didn't really even talk about the paint job because I didn't have anything to complain about. Very simple, your classic X-Men blue and yellow. Modern blue and yellow too, because it's a little bit darker as opposed to like the 60s, whatever, 70s, 80s even. This is a darker look for her, but that fits, especially for the character as well. So yeah, I mean, again, the one con I could say is that hair that you're looking at right now. I think that wild hair is just a little too wild and maybe out of place. But I don't know. I mean, her hair it can be long. It's just that feels like it's a little bit overdoing it to a degree. But again, it did manage to work as far as an aesthetic there. So I guess I'll take it. But yeah, overall, really great piece. Very, very happy with it. And I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're a fan of all the mutant saga happening in Marvel Comics these days. So yeah, this is a definite double thumbs up for me. Very content with it. And I think you're going to love this one too. But hey, let me know what you think about X-23 in the comments below. And by that, I mean the statue, not just the character. And also, let me know if you'd like to buy one for yourself too. And speaking of, if you'd like to pick one up for yourself, go ahead and check out my Amazon affiliate links in the description of this video below. If you click on any of those links, it helps support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So until next time, this is our X-23 resin bust, 1/7 scale, limited edition to 3,000 pieces. And yeah, I'm super into this thing. I think you're going to love it too. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and We'll see you guys on the channel with more toy reviews, statue reviews, and everything else we do here next time.